The 2024 season was supposed to be a turning point for the Los Angeles Chargers. With Jim Harbaugh taking over as head coach, the goal was clear: change the culture and rewrite the narratives surrounding this franchise. And for most of the regular season, it looked like the Chargers were finally heading in the right direction. They racked up 11 wins, earned a spot in the NFL playoffs, and finally looked like a team on the rise. But that momentum came to a screeching halt during the AFC Wild-Card round. All eyes were on Justin Herbert, the face of the franchise, as he had the opportunity to shake off the lingering doubts about his ability to deliver in critical moments. Instead, what unfolded was arguably the worst performance of his professional career. Let me explain it for you. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Against the Houston Texans, Herbert faced a nightmare scenario. His decision-making seemed off, his accuracy was inconsistent, and the offense couldn't find its rhythm. For a quarterback often praised for his physical tools and arm strength, this game highlighted the ongoing concern: performing under pressure in the postseason. Completing just 14 of 32 pass attempts for 242 yards and a single touchdown, his stat line failed to reflect the elite standards he's often been compared to. But the most concerning part? Herbert threw more interceptions in this single playoff game than he had throughout the entire regular season combined. The Chargers' offensive struggles weren't just about Herbert, but as the team's leader, his performance amplified the collapse. Missed reads, forced throws, and costly turnovers painted the picture of a team that wasn't ready for the intensity of playoff football. And while the regular season reflected progress, this single game has once again reignited the conversation around whether Herbert can elevate his game when it matters most. Falling 32-12 to the Houston Texans in what can only be described as one of the oddest games of the entire NFL season, it was the kind of chaotic result that, unfortunately, has become all too familiar for the Chargers franchise. For much of the season, Chargers fans and analysts have passionately debated Herbert's place among the NFL's best quarterbacks. Many have argued he belongs in the same conversation as Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, quarterbacks known for elevating their teams when the stakes are highest. But today, Herbert didn't just fall short of that elite tier. He struggled to even resemble the next level of quarterbacks just below those names. The numbers tell part of the story, but the eye test was even more concerning. His decision-making appeared rushed, he lacked his usual composure in the pocket, and there was a noticeable disconnect between him and his receivers. This wasn't the performance of a quarterback poised to lead a deep postseason run. Two plays defined Justin Herbert's collapse against the Texans, and both were moments that will haunt Chargers fans long after the season ends. The first came on a cross-body jump throw, a risky, off-balance decision that sailed into coverage and was picked off. Not only was it an uncharacteristic mistake for a quarterback of Herbert's caliber, but it also directly cost the Chargers points. With the team already struggling to find momentum, taking a potential field goal off the board in the first half was a brutal blow. The second error was even more damaging. Herbert overthrew a wide-open Ladd McConkey so severely that it resulted in a pick six, handing Houston a game-sealing score. This wasn't just a mechanical slip-up. It was a complete breakdown in execution during a critical moment. In playoff football, mistakes of this magnitude shift the outcome, and in this case, Herbert's turnovers turned a manageable deficit into an insurmountable one. To be fair, Herbert wasn't the only problem on Saturday. The Chargers' offensive line was completely overmatched, allowing relentless pressure that limited Herbert's time in the pocket. Houston's defensive front consistently disrupted the timing of the offense, collapsing the pocket and forcing Herbert into rushed decisions. And then there's the receiving core. Outside of rookie Ladd McConkey, who was heavily targeted and clearly the most reliable option, the lack of reliable weapons was glaring. The absence of a true deep threat and dependable route runners made it easier for the Texans' secondary to clamp down, further limiting Herbert's ability to bounce back from his early mistakes. What makes this performance even more concerning is that it wasn't an isolated incident. This wasn't just a bad day at the office. It's part of a growing trend when the postseason arrives. 2 years ago, in the infamous playoff collapse against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Herbert struggled in a similar way. The Chargers blew a massive 27-point lead in that wild-card matchup, and while much of the blame fell on the coaching staff, former offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and head coach Brandon Staley, Herbert's performance left plenty to question. At first glance, Justin Herbert's final stat line against the Texans seems respectable: 25 completions on 43 attempts for 273 yards and a touchdown. But stats can be deceiving, especially in a playoff loss where the game's most pivotal moments revealed a different story. When the Chargers needed Herbert to close out the game with clock-killing drives, he couldn't deliver. When they needed him to make precision throws under pressure, he missed. most notably sailing a pass over a wide-open Keenan Allen in the end zone. These are the moments that define quarterbacks in the postseason, and unfortunately, Herbert came up short when it mattered most. Herbert has officially dropped to 0-2 in his postseason career, with both performances falling well below expectations for a player often mentioned among the league's top quarterbacks. Herbert's talent has never been in question, but his ability to deliver under playoff pressure is. Until he proves otherwise with a standout postseason performance, regular season highlights and advanced metrics won't silence the growing skepticism. The Chargers' culture shift under Jim Harbaugh was supposed to change that narrative, but this latest setback shows the journey is far from complete. The question moving forward isn't about skill, it's about leadership, decision-making, and performing when it matters most. Can Herbert finally break through and establish himself as a playoff-caliber leader, or will these postseason struggles continue to define his career?